Satanism. To most, it conjures images of medieval black masses or sinister deeds done for the devil. Must expose all the evil being done in the name of Satan.
Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another episode of Charlatan's Web. I'm actually dealing with it was something I was going to cover, but not in this way until this happened, and now I got to cover it. And I decided to invite Ember on to review it with me. So thank you so much, Ember. If you can see, we're doing our rock star looks. Ozzy Osbourne has passed away yesterday, and yes, and it was I know it's been pretty heavy, and now it's a somber occasion. I mean, when it comes to someone who likes horror and likes the macabre stuff like I do. I like horror and heavy metal, dark. I like gothic stuff, country stuff. You know, I'm just it's part of my character. It's part of who I am in the world, right? So Ozzy was a big influence in my life. I listened to Black Sabbath was one of the first songs before I learned how to play guitar. Years before I learned how to play guitar, I played bass, and the first thing I learned how to play was Black Sabbath bass lines because they were so structural and good exercises. So I've been like a Black Sabbath fiend for a long time, and of course Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, everybody in my generation grew up with Ozzy Osbourne on the radio. It was just the standard. So losing someone who's as influential to your life when there's perfectly good presidential people that are much older to take on into the wild blue yonder. I'm kind of sad about it, but at least he dragged Hulk Hogan down with him because that racist and misogynistic guy didn't. He did. I'm glad he hasn't usurped the memory of Ozzy Osbourne's passing. But one person Yeah. Oh, hold on, you're muted. Sorry. They.
What's that?
You were muted. Sorry, I didn't even realize until somebody said that. I didn't mean to have you muted, babe. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
That was terrible of me. Yeah, I'm so sorry, babe.
how dare! I'm just here for my looks, folks.
Yeah, you're just eye candy tonight. Just eye candy. Yeah, with
I was saying my ex-mother-in-law, she thought metal was devil music, and then Ozzy was the bridge. I showed her, Mama, I'm coming home. I showed her No More Tears, and she was like, "This is like really good." I'm like, "Yes, it is." And now she goes to fucking Metallica concerts. I mean, granted, they're not the heaviest in the universe, but they are solidly metal. So, yay, go Ozzy.
it's that. Yeah, it's Ozzy. At least when he went solo, the music became very, very pretty. Very. He liked stylized instrumentals and stuff. When he was with Black Sabbath, there was a deep rooted blues characteristic to the formation of their songs, which is because Billy Ward and Geezer Butler were blues musicians, a blues drummer and a blues bass player. So that's their timing, right? Anyway, Black Sabbath, for a lot of young musicians, they're very, especially if you get into playing rock and metal music, they're very they're like the stem, the intro to it, because they're structurally the intro to it, but really they're culturally the intro to metal too. And other metal bands did exist before Black Sabbath, arguably, but they are the ones that really broke through the mainstream with their horror vibe. That's what really sold it, and that's what people like Bob Larson don't understand. Now,
Bob Larson, the man whose entire career is a gimmick.
right. A horror gimmick too. Make no mistake about it. This guy is a horror entertainer. Is going to a Bob Larson seminar is like going to a freaking murder mystery dinner. It's there's a level of entertainment value. So it's kind of silly for him to throw shade at anybody. Let his little intro play in case anybody doesn't know who he is. Let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Bob Larson. Perhaps you know me as the Real Exorcist. Or maybe you've seen me on programs like Oprah, Larry King, Dr. Phil, National Geographic, or one of the major telecasts. They come to me to get answers about the subject of exorcism and casting out demons. We have answers for you to help yourself, loved ones, and friends at our Exorcism channel and through our YouTube live streaming. You're at the right place to find information on how to get free, stay free, and live free.
And make no mistake about it, this is as toxic as it sounds, right? These are people taking their mentally ill stepchild, struggling with, depression, with an anxiety disorder, with something much worse even, to see an exorcist and get smacked around with the Bible instead of seeking actual proper health care.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly the same as faith healing, except we're not even dealing with a disease. We're not saying, oh, you have a growth in your abdomen. It's a fucking ghost in your blood.
Right. That's literally that. This is a callback to that when doctors be like, I don't know, there must be ghosts in your blood. And yes, it does. His little intro does remind you of the Ghostbuster intro. We're here to help you, Who are you gonna call? Bob Larson. But let's look at take a quick stroll through his library here real quick before we get into the
Sure,
Aussie
sure.
video we're watching.
Aliens, demons, and drugs. Oh my!
Fucking right. Oh, is it too early in the? It's probably too early in the video for me to drop an F-bomb, but oops. Anyway, I love aliens, demons, and drugs. That's like my jam. And add rock and roll to it, or or heavy metal. We're having a hell of a night. But did you know that P. Diddy's a demon? So right there,
That
P.
makes
Diddy
sense,
demon.
actually.
Demonic sex attacks at night. It's usually consensual in my room. You know, when I summon a demon.
Fair.
When I summon a demon.
Cool. So, fuck's sake, Larson, although he poses as a Catholic with the full authority of the church and whatnot, he's a self-appointed doctor who runs his own spiritual church. He doesn't want to pick a denomination. He's just some vague Protestant of spiritual nature, and it's called Spiritual Freedom Church. It's literally just his brand. It's fight the demons, get free, buy my books, here's how, you know? It's like all scam all the way down. It's wild.
Yeah, but for him to just anyway, we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this Aussie thing. Let me see here. I'm doing this with red sunglasses on, so I'm losing a full spectrum of light by wearing these. So bear with me. Now we'll come through and we'll read through his live chat after we watch this, because it sounds like his live chat, because he didn't have any way to moderate. His live chat went pretty off the rails with Aussie fans, like right out of the gate. But we'll look back. All right.
Subscription and see whether or not you are getting a notice.
And I'm sorry that this is only coming through one channel for me. I don't know how it sounds to you guys, but I've only got one channel.
He has that giant fucking microphone, and he's recording in mono. I love it. I love it. He's got a computer. You can see it peeking out right next to him. There's a keyboard of some kind, and yet he has paper notes. What are we doing?
He's an old man. Left-handed Jedi member for 4 months. This is just what I needed, he says. Yeah, this guy's going to come at the Prince of Darkness, and he's going to find out, because me and Ember are going to cheer him up. Yes. All right. I apologize for his shitty audio. I can't control that. I can control my own shitty audio, though, so I can turn that up a little bit. Let me know if that's better for me. But I don't want to make our audio not balanced, so if he's real low, I don't want to be too loud. You know what I mean? Because that makes it hell edit.
I am going live today, but I discovered this about an hour ago, and I got a phone call from a member of my staff saying Ozzy Osbourne died. And I was in the midst of personal spiritual encounters.
There's a little bit of glee in your voice there, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Ministry deliverance sessions with people, and I cleared my schedule, rushed to the studio so that I could get in front of this camera and talk to you about what in pop culture is an incredibly momentous event.
He had a full day of important ministry and deliverance. Remember, his whole career is you need to be delivered. You need deliverance. You need an exorcism. Your future, your soul depends on it. It's the most important thing there is. But apparently not, because he cleared his schedule. He dropped all those appointments like hot potatoes. He just said so he could rush to the studio and get on camera. Doing this is way more important than saving your soul if you're one of those people, I guess.
Celebrating the death of a musician, right? Such a weird flex. Oh.
What a guy.
After 4 decades, Ozzy's dead. I remember in 1970, they released it on Friday the 13th, naturally.
He's just a
5.5.
performer, you absolute freak. He's an artist. You're being really gross right now, even for Bob Larson, who grifts the mentally ill. So,
but also 1970 was 55 years ago, not 40. Bob was born in 1944. You would think he would know. There's a little bit of a difference between those decades.
The album Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Woo! Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Hell yeah, that's a great album. That is a great album. Hold on. Let's hear it again.
The album Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, featuring a witch on the front.
Now, ooh, I wish I lived back then, so I could have been the witch on the front, motherfuckers.
We can be the witch on the front now.
I am the witch on the front right now. The witch on top. Oh, you got a witch's hat?
You can just here we go.
There you go. Now you can be the queen of darkness.
I
did not practice that.
This was absolutely outrageous. And of course,
I agree.
Later groups like Slayer and Deicide.
So from top to bottom, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath is a banger, top to bottom. I mean, every track on that album is excellent, in my opinion. Obviously, feel free to argue with me in the comments.
Morbid Angel and the church burning bands of Scandinavia all wanted to model themselves after Ozzy, only they took the devil a lot more seriously. And we're going to try to get some chats here, but to be honest,
so evil.
All of those bands are entertaining. They did have to up the ante to compete with Black Sabbath. You know, Black Sabbath did this, they had to do that. There's actually a lot of stories about the rivalry between Ozzy Osbourne and Alice Cooper to be the most shocking, right? And then that carries over to rock stars now, like Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson had the same thing going. Who can be the most shocking? It's part of performance art. The fact that you think performance art is actually people summoning the devil, bro, that's a you problem. That's a you problem,
For
Bob.
Real. And then in the same vein, but a slightly different genre, a different direction, if you will, we had Kiss, The Knights in Service to Satan, 1973.
Oh,
obviously not in service to Satan, but never fucking mind that. But, you know, and now that look has evolved, and there's Slipknot, you know? Like,
I love Slipknot. I've seen them 4 times. Yeah, Slipknot. Rob Zombie is another one that has a lot of satanic imagery, and I've seen Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie puts on a great show.
Rob Zombie may have done what he did, because like White Zombie, like there's influence from the past artists, but also very strong influence directly from the horror genre. So White Zombie may have happened even if dark metal had never happened.
Well, you know, Black Sabbath, they named their band just after the old black and white horror film Black Sabbath, and then White Zombie named their band after the old black and white horror film White Zombie. But Rob is definitely more of a film guru or whatever than anybody from Sabbath ever was, and really, really into using that like rockabilly, hellbilly. I feel like I should go grab my hat now. Yeah, I'll do that. Hold on. Just for this part, at least. Because, hot damn. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm
doing it.
Now I'm doing my best Rob Zombie, like feminized Rob Zombie.
Dig through those ditches.
Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches.
We're doing a musical now. Surprise!
Got this together so quickly, I may or may not be able to do that, but we're going to have to look at that. So the big question is, for me anyway, and for a lot of people, especially for Christians, is where did Ozzy go when he died? Well,
probably into a grave. I think he's going to be buried and not cremated. So, but they mean the magical essence of Ozzy, like his magic spirit. Ember's fact checking what I just said about Ozzy's burial. I can always count on Ember.
I'm just wondering if we can find out.
I imagine he'll be buried.
It was a day ago, you know?
Because he's Anglican. I don't know if they can be. I guess the Anglicans can do whatever they want now these days, but anyway.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Oh, of course, only God knows. We're not to judge anything before the time. But judging by the evil that he glorified while he was alive, whether it was for show business or for real.
Evil that he glorified. What was evil about any of it? I mean, like, when you listen to the music, he doesn't present, Mr. Crowley as the hero of the story. He complains about the hubris of Mr. Crowley. He in NIB way back in the Sabbath days, the character of that song is the devil, and it talks about it's about his vices. If you listen to the lyrics,
yeah, like this whole thing, like LaFay played a role, sure, but I mean, Crowley, the Golden Dawn, the AA, the whole thing was part of the thing. What do you mean, Bob? This isn't 1970s, this is from the fucking 1880s, and it's just been there ever since.
And this type of imagery has been used in theater since the Greeks. I mean, Shakespearean theater, even during the Age of Enlightenment, you had things like Faust being performed on stage, with portrayals of the devil as a character. Does that mean? Does that mean Shakespeare was the devil? Not saying Shakespeare wrote Faust, but Shakespeare wrote Midsummer's Night with lots of little imps and creatures that no doubt Bob Larson thinks are demons. Is Shakespeare in hell too?
Probably, in fairness.
Heaven just might be a bridge too far. If Ozzy made it to heaven, the Lord might have to do a lot of apologizing to millions in hell. But still, it's possible that he did make his peace with God before death. At one point he said, "Oh, I'm a Christian." Well, he was sort of a Church of England Christian baptized, I suppose.
Anglican, which is just as much of a Christian as whatever the hell you are, Bob.
Uh-huh. Possibly more. I mean,
yeah.
The fucking idol worship visible in just this scene. He's got his big old cross on. He's got his fuck-ass Christian flag bullshit. It's all fucking signaling and gesturing and posturing and posing and preening with this fucker. It disgusts me. Where's my other hat?
But there's not a scintilla of information at any time in his life when he ever promoted godliness and decency. In fact, his whole career, his whole image was built around being, as he'd like to call himself, the Prince of Darkness. So how does one get past the pearly gates? How do we know if Ozzy did go to heaven? You might be surprised. And go ahead and chat, because we're going to try to pull up.
What's that?
I might be surprised. Did you hear his Freudian slip earlier when he said there is no evidence that Ozzy did godlessness or something like that? And that he had to correct himself and be like...
He uses lots of Christian iconography. he has
That's
a song
why
like,
they're mad.
he has songs about like masters of reality, Lord of this world, that references a creator god. God Only Knows is another name of a song. It's almost
Not that
it's
we
almost
actually
Christian
care
rock
about his
at this
religion.
point.
It's fucking stupid.
Ozzy can be whatever religion he wants because this is performance art. Again, it's so
Yeah, I mean, this dude's whole thing is commerce with demons. Like, by his own standard,
right.
he is going to hell.
Yeah, it's what you do for a living, pal.
The chats here the best that we possibly can. Would you get someone in here who might be able to come around here to fix this so I can get the chats? Because we did this at the last minute. So, Ozzy was known for satanic lyrics.
Yeah, I think he's got the tech savvy of Kent Hovind, though, is what I'm picking up here. We're in mono. He doesn't know how to pull his chat up. His script is on paper. Which is like, I guess, a callback to his radio days. He's probably used to having his script on a piece of paper from when he had a radio show. When they didn't have computers.
Yeah. And what is that, like 40-point font on those pages?
So he doesn't have to wear his glasses. They're there. You can see them. But if he doesn't big enough font, he doesn't have to wear his glasses. So he can look young and hip for the ladies. Is it working for you, Ember?
No.
Aw.
His demonic imagery, that was his stock and trade. And you can argue, well, that was showbiz. It was all theatrics. But he did it. And you really think the devil cares whether or not it was real or not real? I can tell you.
So you're saying anybody who ever plays in a movie with a demonic character in it, where they interact with the character or plays a demonic character. So, like, for instance, let's take Tim Curry, right? He played Pennywise. That mofo ate children, right? He ate little kids. Nom 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 nom. So he's got
an atheist.
He's going to hell for that, according to Bob, because if you play act as an evil character, it means that that you actually end up being the victim of God's wrath.
I wonder what the punishment is for pretending to be a minister.
Oh, that. I think that you just like hit the bullseye right there. That's what we should be looking into. Do people really care that much about whether or not Ozzy went to heaven? I don't know. I don't have any idea if people actually care about that. I guess there's limited seating is the problem. Depending on what denomination you are. I'm not sure how many seats there are, but I know it's limited. So if Ozzy gets a spot, then, someone else might not get it.
I think it's more, I mean, in Bob's case, it's about fucking PR opportunities and shit. It's a way to stir up people and get his chat going and all this bullshit. But I think most of the people who care, they care because of their own beliefs. They want their belief to be reinforced. Like, if they're Christians of the Bob Larson flavor, they want it to be true that Ozzy went to hell, to show that his ways were wrong and God is just somehow. But Ozzy's fans, they may be mixed, because some of Ozzy's fans probably do think hell is the preferable destination, but they want Ozzy to go in the better of the options available, because he didn't suck as a human being. His wife, arguably, is a whole other matter, but as best I can tell, he made really cool art and he didn't suck as a human being. And that's really all you can ask for as a god.
As much stuff that comes out about these 70s rock stars and stuff and the awful things that they did, especially when it involves like minor members of their fandom and things like that, Ozzy's a breath of fresh air, compared to someone like Ted Nugent or Robert Plant. All these legendary figures who did Ted Nugent, semi-legendary, I guess. Maybe more legendary for getting out of war by shitting his pants, but regardless, yeah. Well, you can go to dodging the draft gets you the White House these days. So what I'm gonna do. I wanted to clarify.
It's not just dodging the draft. You also have to commit dozens of felonies.
Right. Yeah, at least 34 minimum. So I wanted to clarify too that Bob Larson kind of got his fame doing this. Satanic Panic is it's his little kitten, right? He's been part of that since the early 80s. He had a radio show. He worked for a long time doing this demonizing rock and roll music thing. So Ozzy's an old rival of his, right?
That's why he's so invested. He's cared about this for 50 years. He's been carrying this around of, oh, I hate that sumbitch. I mean, thank him for my career, but on stage, I hate that sumbitch.
Right. And the intro to this particular show, to Charlatan's Web, actually includes Bob Larson as the end caps on it from way back when he used to, because he'd be the guy that come on TV and argue with somebody about, on the news, on a news panel in the 90s or the 80s, and argue with somebody about satanic rock music and how the youth are turning to Satan and things like that. He'd be the guy that would come on TV and do that, or argue with with Dee Snider or whatever on 60 Minutes. Bob Larson was the guy that came on and did that. And then that more so at the tail end of Satanic Panic, when it started becoming more and more fringe. Because at first it was mainstream because they used this, because the techniques they used to pull those regressed memories from the victims of the satanic cults.
Oh yeah, that's right. The thing that really kickstarted the whole Satanic Panic, because again, it had been like occultism for fucking generations, but the thing that really got it going was what was it? Suzanne remembers, or Susie?
Somebody remembers.
Somebody remembers. Yeah.
Amanda remembers.
Why can't I remember?
Because she did.
She remembers, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
I need some hypnosis.
But it was through like hypnosis, memory. What do they call it? It's not regression. It's memory.
Implanted memory, suggestion, and shit.
Yeah, where the hypnotist leads the person to come to conclusions and implants false memories in their brain. Yeah.
In decades,
Michelle remembers.
Particularly back in the 80s. And
I bet Susan and Amanda remember too, though, if you ask them.
It's probably true, but Michelle remembers was 1980, and then the McMartin preschool trials, and then
which was also a big farce. The preschool trials are the ones who kind of blew the lid off of it. That's where it went fringe, where it's like, wait a second. Once that they're like, hey, these didn't actually happen. These things, this building didn't even have a basement. Blah blah blah. Right?
Mm-hmm. And that's that whole thing, the whole repressed memory nonsense, the suggested memory thing. But once the evangelical right got their hands on it, once Ronald Reagan was like, we're going to make Christianity one of the political parties, and they latched onto it, that did so much damage to our society, to our civilization. It's why we started getting all these regressive laws. Like you can't have rock music on a Sunday because Satan will win, and other fucking, and creationism started to get big and take off in the pre-internet days. Flat Earth, all the conspiracy theories, and we still see it reflected today in bullshit like QAnon, which also involves places that don't have basements. It's just the same bullshit being regurgitated.
Right. It's just this resculpted and fed back to you, right, after you crapped it out the first time.
90s. Ministering to young people, I dealt with innumerable kids involved in...
And just to be clear, we are the young people from the 90s he's talking about, me and Ember. So...
self-styled Satanism because of Ozzy Osbourne. Because
I actually got into neo-pagan witchcraft, not Satanism, because I thought neo-pagan witchcraft was cooler because there was more hot chicks involved, and I like hot chicks.
That's very valid. I
like
didn't
the
get
craft,
into
and I like practical magic and all that stuff. So I'm like, hell yeah, I want to be a
that
witch.
was a good selling point. But I didn't get into proper occultism till I was a full-on adult. I was mostly like, I was evil because I played D&D and read those wizard books, you know?
Yes. Those wizard books, those corrupted you. Hell, I'm channeling Nicole Kidman's character right now from Practical Magic.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's
it's
one of the best
Ozzy
movies.
made it cool.
He did, you're right. He made it cool to be into gothic theater and stuff and dark stuff again. He wasn't the first one. Bela Lugosi did it in the 30s. Are you going to come after Bela Lugosi? The Satanic Cult of Dracula. You remember that, Bob?
He would have been a suggestible child at the time, you know, because he was... No, actually, it would have been a classic by the time
he would have been
to
Christopher Lee Dracula. He would have been Hammer Dracula is who he would have been. Which I think Hammer's Dracula was more satanic than the Universal Dracula. Christopher Lee was a great Dracula. He had the red eyes when he'd vamp out. Badass. And like he's sexy. Yeah. That's his sexiest role, I think.
Huh?
As far as I can recall.
Could be.
Yeah. But Saruman's pretty sexy too with his long wizard fingernails.
Oh, I hate how hot he is. I mean, yes, Christopher Lee is fucking amazing as a person, but the fact that a man that much older is that hot is really disturbing.
Right? I could listen to him tell stories and stuff for hours. His voice. Ah. Did you ever listen to his heavy metal album? I bet that'd piss Bob Larson off.
He has a heavy metal album?
Yes. Okay, I know what me and Ember are doing after the show. If we get through any of this video, we were like 4 minutes in. This is worse than Bad Science Sunday.
For this asshole.
People came here to hear us laugh and make fun of him, which he's coming at Ozzy, so I'm going to make fun of him.
That's his legacy. And it's a horrible legacy.
My sunglasses because I'm about done with that.
Now, let me say also up front, he died. That's a terrible situation. It's an immense loss. And I cannot, nor can anybody stand and judge of how his wife Sharon and the children feel at this time. And certainly, our prayers and condolences go out to them as they experience this time of grief. It wasn't.
Does he know how much of the production Sharon was in charge of? He's going to blame Ozzy for performing on the stage, but Sharon, you know, she set design, or was in charge of set designs and stuff like that. Everything from when Ozzy left Sabbath forward, Sharon was pushing the aesthetic of. You can actually see him arguing about it constantly on all the Osbournes as he plans a tour. So, does Sharon get a free pass from you, Bob? Because I like Ozzy way better than Sharon.
Exactly, a shock. He'd been suffering from Parkinson's. He tried to make this one last tour, couldn't do it. And
he totally did it.
He did do it.
He did it. It wasn't the last tour though. It was a final show. Because he knew he was, he knew he was reaching the end. He said, I want to get up on stage one more time. And he sat in his throne. Yeah. There's video of it everywhere, Bob.
It was an awesome set. He got Sabbath back out. He was like, "Fuck it, we're
even Billy
let's go
Ward
back to the beginning. You know, we're near the end. Let's go to the beginning." And that's story crafting. That's how an artist does things. It's good shit.
Anybody who watched them on the reality show or in any other situation saw him constantly slurring his words and stumbling and mumbling, and he was in pretty bad shape.
You tour for and jump around on stage, 3 nights a week, and be traveling in sitting in a bus or a plane or whatever between that, and see how long your body holds up there, Bobby. You have people come up to you and you smack them with a Bible and call it a day's work. It's a little bit different.
Well, you would be too if you eaten the head of a bat. Remember that? That was famous. Somebody threw a live bat on stage and he bit the head off. And then he had to have these horrible, huge needle injections.
Yeah, because part of his performance art was to bite the heads off of rubber bats that people threw on stage, and some hooligan in the audience got a real bat, or I think it was dead, and threw it up there with the rubber bats. So when Ozzy grabbed it and bit into it, he did not realize that it was a real bat. You know, it's not like he was like, "Oh, I'm going to bite the head off this bat," and didn't think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, he had to get a rabies shot after. So what? It's not that big a deal. I mean, it's not the most pleasant experience in the universe, but it's not like eternal torture in hell, for instance.
Yeah. Which is what you're proposing for him at this point.
To keep him alive. But he was also involved in other cases of animal mutilation. But nobody seemed to pay much attention to that.
What are you talking about? What other case? Ozzy Osbourne, as far as I know, prove me wrong, it was an animal lover. Right? I don't think he was ever involved in animal torture.
Yeah, I think he's probably conflating things again. Because there were other rockers who did that, and they got in deep shit for doing that, because turns out heavy metal fans don't approve of cruelty to animals, and heavy metal fans are willing to do something about it. Right.
And they did, I mean, rumors circulated back in the late 80s and early 90s about, oh, this heavy metal band did this and that, but that was like schoolyard legends. That wasn't like something that actually happened. Like, people would talk about, the one I remember that was ridiculous was Marilyn Manson having his ribs removed so he could self-fillet, or that that dude from the Wonder Years was Marilyn Manson, shit like that. Yeah,
but those were the good conspiracy theories. They were just silly and fun,
right?
Like, oh, it's just
hold on. Could you imagine having to maintain show composure doing that? Fucking legend, right? Him and Lemmy performed right up until the day he died. Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead, right up until the day he died, his last words that he spoke, well, I shouldn't say his last words, I don't know if it's his last words, but the last thing he said on stage was, "Sorry, I just can't do this anymore," and walked off stage. And then next thing we knew, he was dead. But so absolute legends, right?
Ozzy, actually, I'm surprised he made it to 76. 4 decades. What does he have to show for it?
Look at the face of disgust he has. He thinks Ozzy is such an easy target. Ozzy was a fucking philanthropist. Say the word for me. I can't say it.
Philanthropist?
Philanthropist, yes. Thank you. If you say it, then I can say it. I can't say it be the first one to say it, though. It doesn't come off my tongue right.
I'm bold of you to think I can speak English.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying he did a lot of charity work. And that's the thing too. People gotta get metalheads. Oh, they're Satanists and stuff. They're helping kids. They're doing charity, the stuff that the churches are supposed to be doing.
Speaking of charity, you should check the live chat.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Hail Hive, Psy, and Ember. Hail Ozzy. Woo! Thank you so much, my unfinished journey. That's 222. Yes. If 2 more people donate 222, then we'll have 666 for the Prince of Darkness and to piss off Bob Larson.
His wife once said, "You'd be hard to understand too." When people said we can't understand what he's saying, if you drank 2 vats of coffee, 2 vats of wine, and took 25 Vicodin pills a day.
That sounds like a good time.
Ozzy probably agreed to that. He once said,
He's got his vices. I mean, I'm gonna say for myself, I smoke a lot of weed, like a lot. So
yeah, I mean, Vicodin isn't just a painkiller, but it's a painkiller. That's probably too much Vicodin, but that's also too much wine.
Right.
It's about accurate for the proper healthy amount of coffee, though.
Of course, yes. I drink a pot of coffee myself usually every day, but I haven't been lately. I've only been drinking 1 cup, so I'm proud of myself. I've been drinking soda and shit though. But come on, there is a Mountain Dew dragon fruit, and I'm not supposed to try that shit?
What? Someone find me this beverage. I used to be like all the Mountain Dew all the time. I carried a backpack around everywhere I went, and I always had 2 liters of Mountain Dew in the backpack because I went through so much of the stuff.
Yes. And that's another thing about being a teenager in the 90s or in early 2000s you were encouraged that it was cool to drink Mountain Dew. And now I've had to have so much dental work done in my adult life, it's not even funny, because the funny thing about Mountain Dew is that it'll corrode your teeth real quick.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened to a lot of us. Don't feel guilty personally, because a lot of us have suffered dental problems due to the soda advertisements of the early 2000s and late 90s.
I'm just happy I can drink sweet drinks like soda again now and then, because
if you brush your teeth properly. But the thing was, it was marketed towards teenagers who were notorious about like not brushing their teeth and stuff. So so by the time I was in my early 20s, I had already had like different root canals and replacements and fillings and all kinds of stuff.
Ugh, luxury bones are the fucking worst.
Soda is why I have type 2 diabetes, says Left-Handed Jedi. That's a rookie amount of coffee, Anarchic Fox. I hope you take your heart medication. Take your heart medication, babe.
if anyone has lived the debauchery of rock and roll, it's me.
And me. I've been a musician, a traveling musician. Most of my success wasn't in rock and roll, though. Most of my success was in bluegrass.
Now, bluegrass, that's where the center music is.
I played rock and roll and metal stuff, but the most satanic music that I played was also bluegrass. There's so many songs that we played that were about the devil and fighting your demons and shit like that. It was like a lot of it, and it crosses over with classic country and gospel, so it really meshes well with the demonic imagery.
For sure. It's a lot more meaningful in the Christian subculture, you know? I mean, fucking not gospel music exactly, but gospel hip hop. It's all about fucking demons, you know? Sometimes literally fucking demons.
Right, and Bob's gonna say that all those people are going to hell, even though they've probably brought more people to Jesus than he ever will by smacking around people with mental illnesses with a Bible, like a madman.
If you can get rich doing that, I'm game. If anybody's up for it, send me a DM. We'll set something up.
I got it covered. Maybe I should get a Bible on the end of my writing crop, like one of those little pocket Bibles. Mm-hmm.
Oh. See, that's a marketable idea. We could take on clients, and like you demonize them, and then I purify them, or something.
Yes. Oh, that'd be so cute. Yeah. I'll wear a demon outfit and you can wear an angel outfit. And I'll spec them with the Bible, and then you can baptize them with your holy water.
Oh my.
I'm kind of tempted to just start keeping this on my desk for when freaking dominatrix shit comes up, so I can dom.
It seems to happen surprisingly often.
It does happen often on here because, yeah. That's one of my other jobs. So if you want to be punished by a bad trans mommy, no. I won't advertise that right now. We get into the show, though.
And in the beginning, the group wanted to be dark. They wanted to be menacing. They wanted to be evil. They wanted to be satanic. That was the whole shtick.
Yeah, because they got their idea for their gimmick from the movie Black Sabbath. Go watch that movie if you want to understand their gimmick.
And with songs like Suicide Solution, for which they actually ended up in court being charged with the death of a young man, they put...
Yeah, that was some edgy boy shit, but... There's also a band called Suicidal Tendencies. Korn sings about suicide a lot. It's kind of weird to police an artist singing about their own struggle with suicidal ideation. It's actually quite disgusting for the courts to try to take someone's right to create art as an outlet for their suicidal ideation that they struggle with. That's kind of fucked up that they had to go to court for that. Just my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up that our healthcare system, our mental health specifically in this country, is so fucked up that to be an artist, you almost invite that kind of trouble, right? Like we've got Kurt Cobain, we've got all these different singers about it. Now, granted, it's not exclusively American. Suicidal Tendencies, some of their songs are definitely up there, but the most compulsion-y song I've heard is called Bleed by Sentenced on their album Down, and it's a whole other world. Like the shit you hear on American radio, it's nothing.
Right.
Push the boundaries. But as he got older, he got foggier. He couldn't really speak. He couldn't talk. His life was an absolute wreck.
Ooh, Left-Handed Jedi. I did a Lita Ford cosplay. I actually sent Ember a picture of it earlier today. I was like, I think I'm going to do something like this, but I ended up switching outfits because I wear the same outfit twice. Oh my God, no. But yeah.
I did that actually. So this morning I was over at Ryan Cultastic's. She was doing like a fill-in morning show since Chris is away for NanoCon, and she was like, Ember, come do the show with me. So I like just threw a shirt on and shit, and I was on screen in like 2 minutes, and then I just wore that same outfit for my own stream later. Now I've changed though, because I wanted to be a little more punk rock, because I don't have the outfit for like dark goth rock. Alas, if you want to help that,
Oh, I should
I'll plug my shit on my own shows, but
put my necklace on too, so people know I'm a goth bitch. Choke myself.
Hell yeah.
Oh, hey, Steph. Good to see you, babe. Yeah, he's got that big old font. I think it's at least 36 or whatever. Yeah.
I know. We could almost read it
Right?
on the into the little window.
The real issue, though, is, as I said in the beginning, did he go to heaven? Did Ozzy go to heaven? Romans 3:23 says...
Is that the real issue?
I mean, that's what the stream is supposed to be for. That's why he rushed to get on camera and fuck all his clients.
Hold on, I'm checking something here.
Investigative journalism, folks.
So Ozzy Osbourne's final concert with Black Sabbath, titled Back to the Beginning, was a historic event that raised a staggering $190 million for charity. The concert, held on July 5th, 2025 in Birmingham, England, saw all proceeds donated to the Cure Parkinson's, Birmingham Children's Hospital, and Acorn Children's Hospital, according to The Independent and Facebook sources. This made it the highest grossing charitable concert of all time. Absolute legend. How much have you donated to charities, Bob?
I wonder if we can look that up.
You work on that. I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna let him throw shade at someone who's giving money to children's charities. I'm sure this guy voted for Trump, which stole from children's charities. So go figure.
The wages of sin is death, and the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Well, the gift of eternal.
What about Ozzy Osbourne, our Lord, who donates to fucking charity? Wow. Again, dude, $190 million. How much does the Catholic Church donate to charity, I wonder?
Oh, my.
Did he ever speak of it? Was there any evidence of it? Was there any goodness, any godlessness, any moral decency?
I can't even see it, but you're probably looking lovely as well, my love. Happy Friday.
Oh, my
Him,
goodness.
his family, and everything that they represented. I think you're stretching to find any. But no matter how much an individual has been bad in this life, as we know from the thief on the cross, there are those deathbed conversions, those last moments between here and heaven or hell when an individual can cry out.
Those last moments that are usually reported by a hyper-religious family member, like Darwin's, a stepdaughter? Or it was his sister. Oh, he recanted the whole thing on his deathbed. Of course he did. Oh, yeah, and gave himself to Jesus. You know, Ozzy didn't need to do that because he was already a Christian who went to an actual church service on Sunday mornings there, Bob Larson. I mean, you say what you want about Ozzy, but he was a Christian. He was doing performance art. Get over yourself.
Bob Larson, on the other hand, turns out is an actual used car salesman, or more precisely, his sons are, because he used his ministry funds to start a chain of car dealerships and put his sons in charge of them. His sons, through the automotive group, have done several fundraisers, including Hyundai's Hope on Wheels. They did a fundraiser for juvenile diabetes research, which is fine. There's, those are good things to support.
Because we had to drink all that Surge when we were kids. We got diabetes now.
Jolt.
Jolt Cola? Oh, no. So funny comparing those to energy drinks that people drink now, like Monster. Like, compare Jolt Cola to Monster.
I know, it's wild. I actually used to do that, too. When I first started out trucking, I was so fucking stupid. I mixed Monster and Mountain Dew because Monster and Red Bull tasted like ass. Or not Monster and Red Bull. Mountain Dew and Red Bull tasted like it. Red Bull itself tasted like ass. But I digress.
I love Red Bull.
But I'd mix them and I drink a big fucking like 100-ounce jug of the shit. I do like a liter of Mountain Dew and then 2 Monsters, and then I was good for a few hours. And then I drive for 10 hours straight without stopping. That's probably very healthy.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the recommended dosage. Yeah, Sunny D has lots of sugar in it too. It's funny. I actually thought that was orange juice when I was a kid. I'm like, Sunny D, it's just orange juice. It's good for you. No.
It's what you're supposed to think. I mean, the kind that had like the extra vitamin C in it was slightly less unhealthy. But like, I tried regular orange. I used to love regular orange juice when I was little, especially the pulp kind. I know some people don't like the pulp, but I liked because it added texture. It's an autism thing. It's fine. But once I tried Sunny D, I was like, I can't. I try regular orange juice again. I'm like, this tastes like sour water. Like, give me the Sunny D.
The thing about the thing I think is funny about Sunny D is that it's like in the rest of the world, that's how Fanta looks, and that's basically the same formula as Fanta. Like what we call Fanta here is like our orange soda is like this like semi-translucent, bright orange, nuclear waste looking stuff. Not that the thing about that I love Crush. Crush is my favorite. It's my preferred orange soda.
Fuck yeah.
Probably because of REM, but also because you can get the Crush trifecta for $9, which is you get a 12-pack of Orange Crush, Strawberry Crush, and Grape Crush.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know it came in strawberry. I feel like I missed out on my childhood.
All right. We're getting so off track here talking about sugar. That's the demon that DeBob should have railed against in the 90s, though, was the sugar. Because diabetes, you know. Fago's popular here, too. I get Fago at the Dollar Tree sometimes. The cotton candy Fago is so good. Insane Clown Posse made Fago pretty. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Carrie Ann's like, yeah, Juggalo juice.
To the Lord.
Oh my gosh, I just thought of something. We need to find out where Bob Larson's touring in, and somebody needs to convince him that they're possessed by the spirit of Juggalo. Come in there with full ICP face paint and be like, the spirit of Juggalo is in me. I would love that.
But what bothers me, and did bother me for many, many decades, is the way that so many impressionable young people, especially back in the 80s, late 70s, on into the 90s, took him seriously.
I'm more of a 90s kid than an 80s kid for sure. I was 16 in the year 2000. So
flaunting your youth at me again.
Well, I'm just trying to say that, you know, for like the 80s, I was 5 in 1989. So I don't like the 80s are very vague to me. I remember they were brown and smoky though. They aren't anything like what they show in pop culture. Like Stranger Things, no, except for maybe the Buyer House. The Buyer House is a little bit like the 80s were, with the shitty brown paneling and ugly orange carpet and that couch that everybody had with the pine wood frame and the brown and orange floral, whatever the hell you call it, cushions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what Sears sold and what you could get through the whatever the rent-to-own companies were at the time. Finger Hut carried it. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jesus, my grandmother was always with the Finger Hut catalog.
Yes, there was that. Yeah, did your grandma have you circle things in the Sears catalog for Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the grandkids.
She literally did the meme. She handed me and my brother the catalog and said, circle the things you'd like from Santa. She just had us go through and circle our own shit.
Right. We had different colors to say who was who, but because my grandma had like 9 grandkids.
And that was okay because he was making millions of dollars by them taking him seriously. I don't recall any time, and I watched his life closely because I was a critic of pop culture with the whole rock and roll scene when I first got started in ministry.
Yeah, like I said, he's a musician too, by the way. Bob Larson has music out there that you can listen to.
I'm learning all sorts of interesting things today.
So you can rock out to some Bob Larson music. He was not nearly as successful as Ozzy, surprisingly, for some reason.
We should get we need DJ Ozzy to do like a mix of Bob Larson and Greg Locke. And Ruslan, that guy from Bless God Studios, apparently he's a hip hop artist. It'll be grand.
I never heard him at any time get up and say, "Don't do as I do." It's just an act. It's just a show. It's just to be.
You also don't see people get up. Dracula doesn't get up at the end of Actually, Bram Stoker gets up at the end of Dracula in the 1931 and says, and gives you a warning about vampires when you go home at night. So, is that the kind of thing you're expecting from Ozzy? Because I think he would just lean into it. He'd be like, "Yes, I'm going to come into your room at night and drink your blood."
Yeah, nobody liked Ozzy for the music. It was just the shtick. That's it.
What's your favorite Ozzy Osbourne video? Bark at the Moon's my favorite by far.
You know, I never really watched that many music videos. MTV had too many damn commercials.
Yeah, it's a great video. I remember the main reason I remember it so well is I downloaded it on LimeWire. And just had it as the screensaver too. It didn't play the song; it just played the video. But it was like in 420, or not 420, 480 or whatever pixelation. But it was the freaking music video for Bark at the Moon. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Anybody who came to my house, I'd show it to them. I'd be like, "Look, when my screensaver comes on."
Oh my goodness. You know, not every trans woman is a programmer, but every trans woman does shit with their computer system. They just do weird off the wall shit to customize it. And I love that, honestly.
Be macabre. It's just to sell records. No. He cultivated that dark side.
The theatrical dark side, Bob. It's theatrical.
The same way Bob is theatrically of the Lord or whatever.
Right. You know all about theatrics, Bob. Like, you know, it's not even all heavy metal that came from the gothiest. We had the freaking Cure. I mean, come on. You want to talk about somber, suicidal music?
You know, I think he is just pissed that Ozzy was more successful because while in Ozzy's case, like so many other musicians, it really was just a shtick. In Bob's case, even though it is a shtick, it depends on people taking him seriously, like believing him for real and giving him money for the shtick, not for music, not for well, sometimes it's entertaining, but like that's not what he's trying for. It's all about selling the bullshit as the sole product.
And a lot of young people idolized him. They could not separate showbiz.
Because he was a good role model. Again, he just donated $190 million on his deathbed.
I know. What a fucking way to go out. I mean, if I... like in my final days, I could do a thing that entertained thousands and raised millions for charities. I'd be hard pressed to think of a better way to go, you know?
Is from the reality of devil worship. So what happens to a person who lives their whole life glorifying sin. Well, there are a lot of people who think,
in the same way that Stephen King glorifies sin because he writes books about satanic cults and monsters and demons and stuff, right?
Yeah, vampires are real because of Salem's Lot and shit. Also, worth noting, Larson pointed to LaVey's Satanic Bible. If Larson had actually read the Satanic Bible, he would understand that LaVey's version does not have a real Satan.
No, not at all. It's a figurative stance against the oppression of the church. That's full stop. With allowing people to still have ritual in their life, because we do as a species crave ritual in our existence. Just because we've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. I almost said tens of thousands, but no, we've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years, no doubt. Ritualistic stuff. Yeah. And making music about scary things. We've probably been doing that almost as long. I bet there was even Australopithecus making little rhythms about the freaking monsters that hide in the dark if you wander too far from the troop at night. Right? I'm sure they had little patty cake games that they played or whatever to teach their young about it. So, was that Ozzy Osbourne? Right? Was that the Australopithecus? Or Ozzy Pithecus? Call it Ozzypithecus Osbornicanus.
There probably is like a spider named after Ozzy somewhere.
I bet there is, or after Black Sabbath, maybe. Bet there's not one named after Bob Larson, though.
and I've actually had them say that to me. Well, I'll be like the thief on the cross. When it's down to the end, I'll make things right with God. And God will forgive me. He forgave the thief on the cross and said, this day you will be with me in paradise. So that's the way it's going to be with me. You really want to take that chance?
You know, Jesus was dying at that time with the thief on the cross. I mean, he was bleeding out and probably pretty delirious at that point. I don't know if he could have if he was in the right mind to forgive that thief is what I'm trying to say.
Right? A little preoccupied. And it's also worth noting that biblically speaking, you don't even necessarily have to devote yourself to God at the moment of death. Remember, according to at least one of the Gospels, Jesus' last words were of a lack of faith. Father, why have you forsaken me? And apparently he made it.
Yeah, Jesus, and that's Jesus himself, right? Why have you forsaken me? Now I want to sing some System of a Down. Disorder.
I know, we need a dance party.
Ozzy might have taken that
Where's
chance.
Nitty? Let's go together.
And who knows how it turned out. I want to say something I alluded to earlier. If it's just all a show, do you think the devil cares? If your life for evil is some...
Oh, someone just said my favorite song of all time is Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. I would love to hear Ozzy cover Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. That'd be freaking amazing. Him and Stevie's kind of have the same range, too.
kind of charade, do you think the devil's just going to look the other way? I think not. I have more to say.
I'm sorry to hear that, Kristen. Is my heart working?
Oh, you have the...
Stay right there.
No.
I need to get the hand commands. I really want the one where you go like this and it makes the lasers.
Right? Because we've done that like 90 times tonight.
I know.
because I want to take a look at some of the chats. All right.
Here we go.
Rest in peace, Ozzy, says
Woo!
Beverly. I'm not so sure he is. All right. Justin.
You don't get to decide that. Doesn't there a thing in the Bible about letting God be the one to judge?
Several things in the Bible, yes.
The
Bible's pretty consistent on that.
Do you think you're qualified to cast the first stone, Mr. Larson?
Says, thank you for the exorcism. My life and walk with Christ has changed substantially. Justin, good to hear from you. I'm glad to know
Paid advertisement.
that our time of ministry has been successful. Sam says, in his final concert, he did say, God bless all of you.
Because he's a freaking Christian, you dumb...
Politicians say it. They don't mean it.
Ozzy's not a politician. He's a guy who donated $190 million to charity on his deathbed, doing the last thing, the only thing that he had left that he could do, performing fucking music live. So...
Yeah, maybe a guy whose entire career is scamming desperate people might not want to point out that people say God bless and don't mean it. I mean, fuck it. First of all, how do you know that the politicians don't mean it? We know there are some of them who are full of shit, but there are some of them, like, you know, the current speaker of the House in the U.S. He's evil, but he is very, very Christian.
Yeah, you can be both.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes entertainers say, God bless. They don't even know what God they're talking about, and they don't know what bless.
You don't know what God they're talking about. Let's clarify that. They probably do. If they say God bless, they probably have a God in mind.
I'm surprised he's not going with the blasphemy route, saying, who are you to command the Almighty to put blessings upon these people? You don't have that holy power.
But Bob does. And he'll smack you with his Bible.
I mean, right. I'm telling you, I can. I am a minister. I've performed 14 marriages. I've absolved innumerable people of sins, exactly as qualified as Bob in that regard. And I have a Bible. I will smack people with it if necessary.
Is there a compilation of Bob Larson just hitting people with the Bible, or do I have to make it myself?
Isn't that like every one of his other videos?
I mean, you're not wrong.
We're seeking to speak. Now, would I rather have that than Hunter Biden doing an interview like yesterday and cursing Trump?
That was based as fuck. What are you afraid of? Yeah, you're gonna defend a pedophile in a second. I feel it in my bones.
Have that than Hunter Biden doing an interview like yesterday and cursing Trump with foul language? Well, that's another story.
Oh
sure,
no!
Trump is pretty foul.
Language.
Trump is pretty fucking foul. You know, he's on the list, Bob. He's on the list. It's been confirmed.
I mean, hell, even without the list, we've got dozens of allegations of substantiated allegations.
There's more pictures of him with Jeffers. There's more pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein than there are of me with my identical twin brother. Right? It's pretty clear that they were very close. Anyway, I could go on off the rails on that, but let's get back to Bob Larson.
Bless sounds nice. But what does it really mean? Beverly says, as a person who works at a slaughterhouse, go to heaven. What are you, an animal rights activist or a vegan?
You were just complaining about Ozzy mutilating animals or something earlier in the video is why they asked you that, Bob. So the idea that someone who kills animals doesn't enter the kingdom of heaven.
What are you, some kind of vegan? Oh, get back, get back. You know, the Bible actually talks about that a little bit. It kind of lays out that humans are supposed to be vegetarian a little bit. Yeah.
No, I don't know. John says, Black Sabbath, big letters. Are you missing your hero?
Yes.
Shannon says, you can't.
He is a fucking hero. Again, he doesn't remind you, that's just that one show, 190 million. Just one show. Been doing this for 5 decades. Recognize.
Can't serve two gods. Andrew says, Bob Larson's looking rough. Rough what? I don't know what that means.
He doesn't know what that means.
Chris. In the book of heavy metal, he's in Valhalla.
Valid. Based even.
With Lemmy. They're doing a freaking live show right now. And Robin Williams opened with a great comedy sketch. So, yeah. Valhalla.
Yeah. Which is the Odinistic Viking hell. I'm reading these just as they are. Michelle says Deuteronomy 32.
Hell? It's heaven. Valhalla is the warrior's paradise. Or the mosh pitter's paradise, whichever. I'll probably just be a table dancer. I'm not going to get down.
Every night.
It's that God divided the nations among his sons. What are we talking about, Yahweh and Israel here? I don't have a chance to censor these chats. Terry says, I don't think, or Turpy, I don't.
Why are the censor these chats? Is the best fucking part. This is the best part, right? That he doesn't have time to censor the chats. I'm glad that we got to this before he deleted this part or edited it out.
Oh my!
I don't think he's in heaven. Okay.
What?
I don't think he's in heaven. Okay. He says, I know he isn't. Michelle says, God had a wife?
Yeah, Asherah.
Mm-hmm.
I did a video about her a long, long time ago. But, yeah, he had a wife. There was a whole pantheon. Learn your...
Actually, Bob may not know, because this is a thing that actually we learned from Dr. Kip hanging out in our community. The Bible has evolved. The perfect, unchangeable, inerrant word of God has changed. We discovered, I forget if it was like the proper Dead Sea Scrolls or the ones in the other cave, whatever the case, we found old scrolls that showed that what in our modern Bibles had said something like a shrine to another god or whatever, it was Asherah. They had changed it somewhere across the centuries. So in the 1950s-ish, we updated the Bibles to say Asherah, where the ancient texts had said Asherah. So since Bob is from 1944 and grew up probably using, Bibles that preceded that change, he may not actually know that.
Yeah. I mean, there was a whole pantheon, right, of goddesses and gods. Some of them were demoted to, like, angelic figures. But, like, when you look at the original, like, when you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, the scraps of Job, and correct me if I'm wrong out here, Kip, because I'm not going to pretend to know even a fraction of what you know. But in the Dead Sea Scrolls, like Lucifer or whatever is that God's making the pact with, isn't he, like, of the order or whatever? He's like their attorney or their consigliere. Job's my favorite book of the Bible. I just love when God gets up there and starts bragging about how badass he thinks he is with all his nonsense.
Pride, wrath, sloth. Like, is there a deadly sin that Yahweh has not personally committed?
Not that I can think of.
gluttony.
What are you smoking today?
I am smoking. Let's see. It's called Motor Breath. I'll dedicate that one to Lemmy.
Yeah. This is a mix, but it's mostly made from. I can't find the fucking brand on this. Monster Vape Labs.
Monster Vape Labs.
Serious. The Temple Laboratory. There's a handle. Show me your faith if that works, and I'll show you my faith through my work. What's it got to do about the death of Ozzy?
What's that got to do?
Is Ozzy dead with
Why are these
the...
Christians talking about Christian things in the Christian chat? Why is the priest, the fake priest, but the priest mad that people are talking about Christian things in it? Don't bring that religion in here.
Kip, it's because I'm a cryptozoologist, not a Bible scholar, so I'm not going to pretend to be. Lemmy appreciates my dedication. I appreciate Lemmy's dedication. Like I said, dude played right up until the day he died.
Yes, Ozzy is dead. He's looked dead for a long time. It's very sad, the physical toll that all of this took on his life. But then,
you're one to talk
as
about
he said, he lived the debaucherous rock and roll lifestyle, and that's what happened. Hey, Bob, you're awesome, brother. Well, thank you, Joey.
Bob, did you post that yourself under your sock account? Be on. No, Bob is not smart enough to have or skilled enough to have a sock account. No way.
No, he'd be on one of those Reddits where people accidentally reply to their own thing because they forgot to switch accounts.
Right. Maybe talk to Kent Hovind about getting one of his backstage. I think Steve's probably free now because he hasn't worked for Kent in a long time. Might look him up. He's a little predatory, but maybe you can exercise that monster out of him, and then you can be your producer.
Yeah, slap him with a few Bibles. You'll be good to go. Whatever.
That's how it works.
That is how that works. I'm just thinking like.
Sola says he received.
Go ahead.
Bob looks like a fucking skeleton. You know, he's got this. It's just a skull on like a skeletal. It's pink colored, but like I mean, even his shoulders. Like, has this man never done any work in his life? He clearly has some testosterone because he does have facial hair. But holy shit, he is a tiny little baby man. Like,
very
my
gaunt.
shoulders. Yeah, my shoulders have shrunk like several inches in the past year and some. I know because shirts that used to fit no longer fit. The sleeves dangle, but that's neither here nor there. You could put two of Bob's across me. Like, he is so tiny.
Received a Bible before his passing. Not sure if he read it or not. I don't know. I stay up on the news. That's news to me.
So, Ozzy received a Bible before he died. I bet Ozzy had lots of Bibles in his lifetime.
Probably.
And I'm sure that, again, being part of the Anglican Church and going to services and stuff, I'm sure he's heard at least portions of the Bible read to him. Now, when you go to a church, most people don't read the Bible themselves and just get whatever's fed to them. You get very selective parts of the Bible, but, you know, I'm sure he's received at least some of the messages of the gospel if he was going to receive any of them at all.
No idea about that. Sabrina, I think he's in heaven. The industry is a hard business. We're all forgiven if we ask. Oh, that's interesting. You think he's in heaven? The industry is a hard business, a music business. He chose the business. He wanted the fame. He wanted the glory. He wanted the millions.
So he did horror music entertainment. And you have a problem with that because you think it's scary. So it must be from the devil.
It's fascinating to see a man whose entire career is, one could argue, mocking the religion of these people, profiteering off of their fears and their superstitions and shit, because he wanted the fame. He wanted the his fucking channel is branded The Real Exorcist. Like, he's after fame. That's the intro we saw when we first came to the channel is plugging all his appearances on Oprah and Dr. Phil and all this shit. It's
it looked
all
like the
about
Ghostbuster
fame
commercial.
Yeah.
It was the Ghostbuster commercial, except for his exorcism business. But no, Ozzy's the one who chose. Yeah.
The approbation, you wanted all of it. And then what, he sold his soul to get it.
Did he though? He went to church. You started your own fake church to grift people.
So
that's why you're starring on Charlatan's Web tonight.
Congratulations, you made it, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Like wowzers.
Let me blow up our logo so people can really see it. There we go. Charlatan's Web.
Like, those are the facts, the cold, hard facts. That's what he did. He exploited the imagery of Satan and evil back when there weren't death metal bands like the ones I named earlier who were doing it.
That's what you do, Bob.
Robert...
Exploiting the image of Satan and the fear of evil is your entire business.
Robert Johnson did this in like 1925 with the whole devil imagery to sell his music. In his image, he like, oh, I sold my soul to the devil and all that stuff, and wrote songs about it, and half of his catalog is about macabre shit like that. This isn't something new and unique to Ozzy. It's a type of art about. The irony is it's actually, as far as I can tell, it's the intention of it is to promote awareness about the risk of selling your soul and things like that, right? Bob and facts don't often come in contact. Oh yeah, I almost forgot Bugbot's not even plugged in. I'm gonna hook it up.
No! Here I am trying to be rude and sting people for fun and profit, and Bugbot's not. He's taking the night off, folks.
Oh my gosh, we've been going for an hour and 32 minutes. I can pull him up for the last half an hour of the show. Let's see. Connect Bugbot. There we go. Now Bugbot's connected. Should be anyway. Let me see.
Let's do a test. Let's find out.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna say good morning to me, but it's not even morning, Bugbot, unless you're in. You're such an idiot, Bugbot. You're so dumb.
He can't tell time. It's fine. But you know, if you want Bugbot to say good morning, come back here tomorrow. What is it? 10:30 Eastern time, so 8:30 in the fake time zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, be here tomorrow morning.
Yeah, 8:30 where I am in the mountains, where time is different.
Wasn't the in thing to do yet. They were real pioneers with this whole Satanism thing, and he was right.
No, they weren't. I just told you Robert Johnson did this in the 1920s.
Yeah, this has been going on for fucking ages.
The Rolling Stones did this in the late 60s, the early 60s, like a full decade before Sabbath.
Yeah, there was a whole vaudeville act, like there probably a whole genre of freaking necromancers, and then the medium movement, right? The Fox sisters and that whole thing, like all of this.
Like I mentioned, Faust earlier, yeah, Faust.
Yeah, it's been forever.
It's a standard of arts and entertainment.
Because just a couple of years earlier, before they released their album, Anton LaVey had come out with his Satanic Bible, and there was all this interest in Satanism. So, yeah, if that's what he was doing, does getting a Bible before you're dead get you to heaven? And if the industry business is hard, of course it is hard. And we're all forgiven if we ask. Well, Yeah, but there's that word, repent. Repent.
How do you know he didn't repent? Again, can repentance be in the form of $190 million to children charities?
It's a pretty good repentance, if you ask me. But
Right.
also, did he have anything to actually repent for? Like, maybe overusing drugs, right? Because the rest is just entertainment, you know?
It's an act, right? He never killed anybody or tortured any animals. Even the bat thing was not something he did like intentionally.
Sorrow, regret, godly conviction for the evil that you have done. Bartoza, hello.
What evil has Ozzy done? Use your words, Bob.
Yeah.
Beloved,
show us some evil.
blessings in Jesus'
Receipts, bitch.
name. Josie, do you still do exorcism? Do I still do exorcism? Have you been to my...
Oh my gosh, it's Miss Lemon! Do you see Miss Lemon in the side chat? Hey, beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. He's projecting so hard. It's one of those the lady doth protest too much kind of moments,
Right.
you know?
Oh my gosh, Henry. Okay? Something scared him. He's entered that guard dog phase of his development where he stopped hiding from sounds and started going ballistic at them.
a YouTube channel? And are you aware of the fact that we do virtual and in-person encounters on a daily basis? In a few minutes, I'm just going to walk away from this microphone and I'm going to write to the computer in my office and I'm going to start ministering to people all over the world. Yes, I still do exorcisms and I'm going to keep doing exorcisms until the Lord calls me home.
Home might not be where you think it is. Because maybe Ozzy deserves to inherit the kingdom of heaven more than you. Because he actually he led by example, whereas you just sit around and judge people.
Mugo says, let's all sing "'Tis So Sweet to Trust in Jesus." I'm sorry, but where's that coming from? Yes, it is sweet to trust in Jesus. That's a beautiful old song.
Let's all sing "Mama, I'm Coming Home."
I know. I did learn when I was looking up Ozzy's funeral plans. First of all, they don't say specifics, but there is a coffin involved. But he did specifically ask they not play his music.
I used to be able to play. I can still play a whole bunch of Sabbath songs, but I used to be able to play "Mama, I'm Coming Home." It's been a long, long time since I played it, though. Randy Rhoads' guitar licks are next level. So
I'm not sure it's appropriate at the death of Ozzy Osbourne, okay? Tina, his music was satanic. There's truth.
In what way? Which song was satanic, specifically?
Crazy Train?
Which track? Crazy Train is about the struggle to maintain his sanity while living the rock star life on the road, right?
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the reasons it was such a huge hit, because it came out at a time when we were having an unparalleled mental health crisis in this country, which has only gotten worse since then, by the way. But like people, it was like the most relatable music at the time, you know?
Right?
People were
Heirs
like,
of the Cold War. That's what we've become. When it was written, it was especially in Europe. You're talking that the song came out around the same time the Berlin Wall fell. What a social unrest, identity struggle for different people because the echoes of World War II were slowly fading. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get all poetic about it, but
So look, I used to be a huge heavy metal fan, specifically death metal and black metal. Do you still think, what do you still think about your interview with Glenn Benton from Deicide? Well, you know, he's one of the worst of the worst of the worst. And about every time he was ready to release.
Glenn Beck from Deicide. When I think of Glenn Beck, I think of the right-wing talk show host.
Mm-hmm. He is, you know, he does that whole pretend to be Christian thing that all the right-wing grifters do, except Ben Shapiro because he's pretending to be Jewish. But yeah, it's what do you mean? Deicide? Did he say Deicide?
Yeah. Deicide. I looked up the band. I'm not familiar with them, so I'm looking it up. Formed in 1987. Glenn Benton.
Okay.
So I swear he said Glenn Beck.
I thought so too. Maybe he did. He's very old.
I'm going to turn on the closed captions and go back and see if that's what he said. No, he says Glenn Benton.
Okay.
He's one of the worst of the worst of the worst. And about every time he was
radio shows.
Yeah, he called into Bob's radio show, I guess. That's kind of funny. To promote his heavy metal albums, he called the Real Exorcist radio show.
Wild.
Ready to release a new album, he would call my radio talk show and threaten to eviscerate me and attack me and do all sorts of horrible things to me and growl and snarl at me because he was looking for the publicity. But, you know, if you go looking for the devil and you play with stuff, because a lot of people say, well, I just played with the Ouija board. I didn't really mean it. I just did yoga because I just thought it was postures.
Yoga and heavy metal.
Well, you know, in hell they have hot yoga. Don't you dare do stretches. They're demonic.
Now, even ghost Satanism is absolutely for show, for fun. Uh-huh. He is making fun of you, Bob. Yeah, I don't think Bob gets that. He doesn't know that Benton was like, oh, you're a clown, and I'm going to use your show as a promotion.
Which is
did
actually
meditation.
kind of legendary in its own right.
Right. That's like badass in a way.
Yeah. It's like Grayson going to Dinosaur Adventureland to like, except Grayson it wasn't even shtick in his case, you know? It's like you go into the lion's den of the thing you're fighting against. And that's exactly what this dude did. It just, it's wild. Now, Benton, for anybody who doesn't know, because I didn't know the name off the top of my head, he was a very anti-Christian, like way more than just vague devil imagery. He made anti-Christian music. He branded an upside-down cross into his own forehead for promo purposes. He was really into this shit. But it was still shtick. The man's lead guitarist is a practicing Catholic.
You know, it's like King Diamond from Merciful Fate, King Diamond, Diamond Head. Yeah, it was a shtick. It was a performance art, motherfucker.
He says in the call, I don't have a full transcript, just excerpts here, but there's one that says, Benton says to Bob, my lord is going to spare no mercy on you, Larson.
Yes, my Lord and Savior Ozzy Osbourne is going to spare. What'd you say? Spare no.
Spare no mercy.
Mercy upon you, Larson. Ozzy's waiting for you in the afterlife. Just keep that in mind.
It was good to think deep thoughts about the universe. And, well, you know, I read my horoscope.
Don't think. What are you doing? Read your Bible if you start thinking.
He read a horoscope. Does he have any idea how demonic that is? That's sinful. That's witchcraft. What are you doing, Bob? You're putting your soul at risk.
Larson's whole thing is just shtick. This whole thing. He's a grifter. That's why he's on Charlatan's web. Following up, who did we have last week? We had Todd Standing, and I had Captive Desk on Dave. We talked about Todd Standing's, like, it used to be Sylvanic Bigfoot. Now I guess it's like Discovering Bigfoot is his channel name. Regardless, he has all kinds of copyright strikes, as I expected he would. So I'm fighting those under fair use as a review. We'll see how that goes. The week before that, we did Stephen Greer. Now, Stephen Greer was a funny case because he does the CE5 meditation UFO cult stuff, and his videos, if you try to download them for reviewing purposes, they only download in Spanish. So, it's pretty crafty there, Dr. Greer. Before that, we did, of course, the Ed and Lorraine Warren, which are somebody will probably be revisiting frequently on this show. But we got about 15 more minutes we can give Bob here.
I didn't really believe it. I went to a psychic, but I took it with a grain of salt. The devil doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. If you do it, you do it. If you open the door to the devil, you open the door to the devil. And Ozzy opened thousands of doors to the devil over and over and over.
More than you, Bob?
In the same
what
way
did he do? Did he go to a psychic?
In the same way that Stan Lee opened up doors to Spider-Man, I guess.
Over again. Now, I don't know about the mercy and the grace of God, because I have more to say about that in a moment. The hell is it hell, buddy? It's Viking heaven, where warriors go. Yeah, excuse me.
Take that.
Technicality, heaven to the Vikings is hell to the Christian. All right? And I'm from a quarter Norwegian descent, but I do cast out a lot of demons of Odin, Thor, and Loki.
Yes, he cast Thor, Odin, and Loki out of people. I've watched him do that. Actually, I covered Bob Larson before when I used to do I think it might have been on CrypticCorner on my demon episodes, where he cast out Thor and Loki, and then he cast out the demon of communism, which was
okay.
Awesome.
We're just like, everything is demons. It's literally true. Everything is demons. What does communism do? Make you want to share? Make you want to seize the means of production?
Collectivism, yeah. You're like, let's pool our resources as a society.
We'll end up with roads and fire departments and schools and shit.
I'm a Christian. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows, and I'm not sure that anybody close to him even really cares. This is interesting. Julia says, is he...
yeah, his Christian family probably does care where Ozzy's spending the afterlife. I have little doubt that his family, if there are members of his family that are believers, I'm sure that they care. The demon of communism, yes. The demon of collective farming.
We need like Marx's manifesto and like 7 red candles or something.
And altars for some of those emotionally saved. Well, I don't know if he was a multiple personality or not. Okay, Ozzy wasn't his real name. Well, that's technically true, yes. Josie, he chose hell, he didn't repent. Julia, God knows if he did. Maybe when he was a child. Ozzy's real name is John, okay? Well, I'm not sure that matters.
Well, I mean, it's just a technicality, but yeah.
I mean, it's a church name.
Yeah, it's from the Bible. It's a biblical name.
It doesn't really matter what your name is, whether you're John or you're Ozzy. Whether that's going to get in is whether or not your sins are covered by the blood of Jesus Christ. Maybe he was saved emotionally.
You are in a... How do they say things like this and not be like, you know what? I'm in a blood cult. I'm in a blood cult.
Right? Like, oh, it's Satan imagery, blah, 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 blah. But also, look at all this blood. It's an aroma pleasing unto the Lord. Like, what
Look
are
at
you
these
doing?
beautiful ladies rolling into my chat here, too. Hi, Ryan. Hello, Helen.
Oh.
Love you, beautiful ladies.
Oh, come on now. Burnley, it would help, Bob, if you would shave off that old man's facial hair. Are you working to losing weight? I go to the gym 5 times a week, and I'll probably do a workout in one day.
Oh, he's coming at you, Ember, for calling him out for looking gaunt. He's going to start talking about climbing Kilimanjaro.
Sometimes
watch.
go on a hike with me. Remember, at 65, I was the oldest person to climb the most difficult route of Mount Kilimanjaro, 20,000 feet high. I just thought I'd throw that out to you, okay? All right. Christmas Cuddle says amen. This one I don't get. Tipperix 3, I wish I had a grandpa like Ozzy. He's cool.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Woo-hoo. I love that this chat.
I never meet my grandpas. They were both gone the way of Ozzy before I was even born.
I kind of wish that I had that clip of Captain America saying, the chat isn't going quite the way you expected, is it? His own chat is roasting him so hard and coming up to bat for Ozzy. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you see the guy at the end? Drooling, stumbling over his words, mentally bereft of any true awareness of his life and what it was all about because of all the drugs, all the alcohol, all the disease, and you want a grandpa like that. Wow.
A grandpa that knows how to party? It's cool to have a chill grandpa and a party grandpa. But usually people have a crazy aunt that knows how to party. I fill that role of the crazy aunt for the queer community, as Ember can assure you.
It's a public service, really.
You want to go out and be crazy? We can go out and be crazy. I aspire to be a grandpa like Ozzy. Live the dream, Dr. Davis.
Wow. Sabrina, he could have repented. Yesterday, we don't know. I believe those rock stars are hiding in plain sight, some of them from the people running the industry. Oh, give a break. Maybe it's my phone, but the sound is kind of weird. Well, I'm talking into my iPhone, okay? I will be meeting with you, Bob, in about a month. Excited to do it.
You have that microphone there?
Right. He's got this fucking monster setup. You are a former radio host, my guy. Have some fucking professionalism. Holy shit, I'm on my iPhone.
And we've apologized. Me and Ember both pointed out at the beginning of the show that he is on mono right now. Not my fault that his audio sucks. There's only one channel, so you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
He's phoning it in.
Right. His attempted takedown of Ozzy Osbourne deserves to sound like shit, though.
It's so important to cancel all his appointments, but he's gonna do it on his fucking iPhone. Oh my goodness!
To me, it's very much like the White House announcing that that South Park is third rate and nobody cares. Nobody cares so much that the White House is now releasing a statement about it. I haven't even paid attention to South Park in decades at this point, but I will say
didn't even know they were still in the air. I keep seeing like ads for like the old grown up seasons on Netflix or whatever, and like HBO's doing a thing. Or I didn't even know they were still on Comedy Central.
Miss Lemon says Crazy Aunt Lee makes sure that kids are taking their mental health seriously. Yes, absolutely. Helen says, I hate this dude. Yeah. He kind of sucks.
Devil in Edge Sola says he takes a mile. It's not talk about Ozzy. We should not judge anyone. I already dealt with that. Interesting.
Did you, though? We actually talked to you about, if you're should be the first person casting stones here. When his ministry, when your ministry goes to support car dealerships and Ozzy's goes to children's hospitals. So,
and don't forget his fake college.
Oh, your
Bob
fake
Larson
college
University. the premier institution for casting out demons and shit. You learn how to hit people with Bibles.
Mm-hmm. Important life skills.
Chats. Only one way, Jesus Christ, the blood of Jesus. Yes. That's the only way Ozzy would get to heaven. That's the only way you get to heaven. Can you describe your experience with the band
Blood cult
and Slayer?
I love Slayer.
Tell that sometime.
Now, don't get me wrong, Kerry King's a piece of shit, but their music rocks.
And actually, there is, I'll just let you in on a little secret, in process now, a movie being planned about my life and the Slayer tour. Think about that. Be watching for it. Bob, I mean, he was MPD. John could be saved. An altar? I don't know. I thought that's a stretch. Okay. Noid says, I want a grandpa like you. Thank you so very much. Ozzy started heavy metal. Thank you for exposing.
A lot of us have had a grandpa like you, Bob. And it's been nothing but trouble. A lot of us have had uncles like you, too. Like I was talking about me being the crazy aunt. You're the uncle that everybody's like, oh, God, Uncle Bob's going to be there this year when it comes to Thanksgiving. When it comes to Christmas. You're going to come in there complaining about being woke.
Yeah.
You got the Heaven's Gate book. Okay, if you want to do a Charlatan's Web episode, like what we're doing right here, on the Heaven's Gate cult, let me know, Lee, so that we can set it up.
And casting out demons, I watch your videos. Thank you. Let me make a couple comments now. How do you get to heaven?
Okay, we're not doing that. I do want to, just while we got just a minute here, I wanted to see if I can find that communism one, just so you guys can see it.
Hi, I'm Bob Larson. Perhaps you know...
All right, yeah.
Show me your demons, Bob.
What is the curse of communism? It's a 7-minute video.
It's a curse.
Let's do it. We can make it through that. We're on 1.75 speed.
I have been asked a lot of questions. And often a question is a paraphrase of something I've heard before. But Nathan in Washington State asked a question that
Washington.
Is he from South Carolina by chance?
I don't know. My dad talks like that too, and he is from Missouri, so Little Dixie, they talk like that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever been asked. He says, what is the curse of communism? I am a communist and a card-carrying member of the Communist Party USA, or CPUSA for short, and I don't feel cursed. Well, Nathan, you are cursed, whether or not you feel it. And in fact, most people don't feel the curse. They may see the effect of the curse. You know, before I answer your question, I have to wonder why in this great land of America, with all the opportunities we have, where it is so obvious that our system of government has given these opportunities for individuals found nowhere else on earth, would you want to turn to the philosophy, the failed philosophy of communism?
It's the failed philosophy of capitalism, bro.
Like, yeah. Have you seen the world? Also, not a philosophy. It's an economic theory, but details.
It's a marketing system, yeah. It's a philosophy about a marketing system, to be pedantic about it.
I suspect, Nathan, it doesn't have anything to do with politics. That ultimately, it's driven by something or several things which have happened in your life. When people turn to ungodly ideas, almost always the motive is emotional. It is spiritual.
Okay, I'm going to say this boldly right now. Jesus was a communist. Ball's in your court, Bob.
Spiritual, and it's often rooted in trauma. Just curious, Nathan, whether or not you've had a very happy life. Because happy people generally don't become communists. They're pretty dour. Most of them are awfully nasty, to put it bluntly. And they are not people who exude joy, and definitely not the joy of the Lord. But more to your question of the curse. So what is communism, which is synonymous with atheism?
What? he's where the trope comes from. Oh, you must be an atheist, communist, purple-haired, liberal, feminist, abortion-loving freak. Yes.
I'm screen grabbing that.
Hair.
We're saving that.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
I do wish I had purple hair, though.
Did he say something about purple hair? I must have missed it. I was too busy laughing.
No. I was just throwing out like the laundry list of accusations.
I have purple hair somewhere up there. You can borrow it next time we're hanging out.
Hell yeah!
I'm gonna do your makeup too, bitch. Just so you know.
Oh my goodness, I need it. You're so much better at makeup than me.
Yeah. Well, I have years of experience doing makeup.
I know I'm such a fucking noob.
Well, I spent a long time taking care of someone with cerebral palsy, a woman with cerebral palsy, so she couldn't do her makeup, so I did her makeup for her.
It's just based purely on humanistic logic. It's materialistic. It doesn't take into account divine revelation or values and morals based upon a transcendent deity. And so, it's a state of unbelief. And unbelief is demonic.
It's literally the teachings of Christ are communist. Give up your wealth and give to your neighbors and love your brothers. And I know it's love your neighbors. Yeah, it's just...
You know, in exorcism, I deal with spirits of Antichrist, which would apply in this case. And many times the most powerful spirit somebody has is a spirit like doubt or unbelief. You might think the most powerful demon would be murder or rage, and it could be, but sometimes Satan is much...
Yeah, we got Miss Lemon out here in South Korea right now. Communism is synonymous with atheism. Here I'm teaching my students two different terms. Damn.
We're all doing it wrong, apparently.
Girl, your makeup and game is on point too, and your characters are so freaking sharp. I love it. Liz Lemon does different characters when she does her streams, so if you miss it, if you don't watch Miss Lemon, go check it out just for the characters that she plays. And she'll read like chick tracks and stuff like that. I mean, she doesn't need me to plug her content. She's got 20,000 subscribers, but I know
what's she hanging out with us for?
Yeah.
Lemon Library. If you need shit to listen to, if you're like looking, how can I learn more about the bullshit apologists are spreading in an entertaining way? Lemon Library is a good place to go.
Absolutely. Feeding the 5,000 is some form of ultra capitalism. Yeah, he could make fish in loaves. He didn't even capitalize on it. Right? He didn't even
Production
charge.
Efficiency. In fact, it's a capitalist miracle. It's the first time the K value in the efficiency equation has ever exceeded 1.
More subtle. The question of whether or not there is a God, or in the case of communism, the denial that there is a God, comes from demonic forces. Ironically, James tells us that the demons believe and tremble. Let's just take a look at history for a moment and see what communism hath wrought. Look at the countries that adopted the philosophy of Marx and Engels. And
okay, there's never, and I'm going to be cliche here, there's never been a country that's ever actually enacted communism, because that's an oxymoron, because communism is stateless, so there wouldn't be a country. That's antithetical to the term of communism to say a country that enacted communism, because it would dissolve the state, because it's a classless, stateless, moneyless society by definition.
Yeah.
And the communist minds of the 20th century, most of them are shipwrecks in history. Most of them are failed economies and failed countries that oppressed and in some cases murdered their own people and practiced systematic genocide.
Not really? Like our country. Our capitalist paradise would never oppress and murder its own people.
Oh no.
Perish the thought.
The kind of belief system that you want. I'll tell you what I think. I think you've embraced communism because you're angry at God. And this is a codified way, in a political sense, of expressing that anger and bitterness toward the Almighty. Are you cursed? Yes. You're not cursed because you're a communist. The fact that you've chosen communism as a moral, religious, and political philosophy of atheism shows that there is already a pre-existing curse which has...
Oh! These curses, they come in series.
Compounding curses. It's a curse compound. That's why you needed to be hit with the Bible multiple times to get that communism out of you.
Driven you in that direction. But I want to assure you there is victory through Jesus Christ over the curse of communism.
Christ was a communist, you dumb bitch.
And also, you can't have victory without Odin because he's victory personified. What now? Checkmate.
Oh, boom. Gotta drop that mic.
Over all curses of unbelief that deny the existence of God and the reality of his love expressed through the sacrifice of his son, Jesus Christ.
It's nothing says
the most frequent demon that I deal with is
your own child to no benefit to the other person.
The most frequent demon he deals with is Jezebel. That's hot. I wish maybe I should make my middle name Jezebel instead. What do you think? Bree Jezebel McCune.
It could work. Oh my goodness.
My middle name is Priscilla, by the way. It's not Jezebel, but
oh, that's so pretty.
Yeah, it's Bree Priscilla.
Spirit of Jezebel, the most prevalent evil spirit of our age. This demon wants to destroy your health, your finances, your marriage, your family, and your church. Learn the tactics of Jezebel throughout history and in the time in which we live. My book, Jezebel, Defeating Your Number One Spiritual Enemy, is your key to overcoming this demon, which is more prevalent than at any time in human history. Get your copy today. Jezebel, Defeating Your Number One Spiritual Enemy.
He took the curses away from me. See Bob Larson, because he can help you.
If your life isn't all that it should be, if relationships aren't working, if your health, your finances, or your spiritual life are unhappy,
call Miss Cleo.
The Psychic Friends Network is here to help.
The Psychic Friends Network. Oh my gosh, that's a throwback. Watching USA Up All Night with Rhonda Shear or Gilbert Gottfried. On a Friday night. Mm-hmm. And then there was that was when they had the Girls Gone Wild commercials too. Were also on
so many of those. I'm like, what? Why? What? Oh, I don't understand anything. I have no idea how the world works. I blame the tism.
If I beat Bob in a fist fight, does that make me the man in his eyes? Will he now be the flailing woman possessed by Jezebel? I think you could take Bob, Miss Lemon, because you're a trained weapon. As far as I remember, your body is a weapon, like legally speaking, in the U.S. If you assault somebody because of your training. But correct me if I'm wrong. She's military or ex-military, I guess would be a better way to describe her. But no.
Hell yeah. I mean, with all these Jezebel spirits, the military should be like searching out women. I can tell you, a lot of what I did in the Navy, most of it had nothing to do with combat. But when it came to combat, no demons, no nothing. It just, yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah. So, as far as Bob Larson goes, he is a horrid grifter. Ozzy Osbourne, on the other hand, will be fondly remembered for the rest of time, as long as humans are passing down records, right? Ozzy Osbourne will be remembered.
Yes.
him and the band Black Sabbath innovated a new type of music. Mostly because, I don't know if you know this story, but about Tony Iommi's finger.
No.
He was working as a butcher at a butcher shop in the early days of the band, right? Cut off the tip of his finger. So he couldn't push down. He had to wear this like metal thing on his fingertip, and he couldn't push down on it anymore. So instead, the band tuned down their guitar so he could push down on it easier, and thus doom metal was born.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
evolution in action, folks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that story is all over the place. I don't know how true it is. There's different versions of it that people tell, but some versions that he did indeed cut off the tip of his finger working at a butcher shop, and he was going to give up music altogether until he met some blues musician who had missing fingers, who was rocking out hard. I cannot confirm or deny that being a Marine equals legal weapon. Yeah, so Miss Lemon's a Marine. I mean, that's hardcore. But I don't, yeah, I'm not sure. War tits. Yeah. Let me see, did we miss anything here? War tits. Yes, these are my tits of war. Release the tits of war. No.
Cry heaven!
I can't. The show will come down immediately if I release the tits of war. I'm just saying. Go.
The beautiful thing about having like this vest kind of deal is I could just it's, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you're wearing something underneath it. But if you just had the vest on and did that, that'd be fucking hot. That'd be hot, Ember.
That's for a different website.
Yeah, you have to pay for that content separately. All right, what do you got coming up this week, doll?
Random chaos. I mean, hell, all 3 of the shows I was on today, I did not plan to be at the start of the day. So you never know. But on the schedule for sure is Sunday, 7:30 Eastern. I'm doing some silly pseudoscience, starting with everyone's favorite fuckface, Frank Turek. It'll be neat.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll be appearing on Ember's channel at some point in the near future because Ember loves me and wants to spend time with me. And we talked about this covering this certain climate change video like 2 months ago, and it just kind of fell dead. But it's something I wanted to do on the show that Ember and Mark do the debate reviews. So that'll be coming up sometime in the future. We just haven't set a date for it.
Yeah,
Mark and
I's debate reviews were postponed again this week. Mark has an actual debate again, as he's wont to do. But eventually we'll be doing part 2 of William Lane Craig and Anthony Flew. It's Mark's turn, so it'll be on his channel. And then we get to pick a new debate. Hopefully we probably won't finish on part 2, though, honestly, because the first 20 minutes took us like 3 hours.
Well, the debate that I have, I'll just tell them what it is. It's the Potholer 54's debate, most recent climate debate. It's pretty redonkulous. It's misunderstanding how to read data is mostly what it comes down to. But we'll crack that nut when we get there. But yeah, I think that we've given Bob Larson enough of our time. I wish I could. I wish it was not such a grim day, you know, having just lost Ozzy Osbourne to have to cover this. But I did feel like coming up and defending him was honorable, considering what he did for me in my life, as a musician, as a person, and the little bit of alternative personality to what's standardized in the U.S. culture. Somebody I could identify with. So appreciate you, Ozzy Osbourne. Thank you so much for what you've done for me in my life, and you, Bob Larson. So I'm gonna end my rant there. I'll be live tomorrow a.m. What are we covering? What are you covering?
Yeah, what am I covering, Ember?
God.
What are we doing? What's going on?
What am I even doing in the morning tomorrow? So tomorrow morning, the topic of the show is going to be, oh shit. Hold on. Now I'm totally lost. Please stand by for technical difficulties. Because I haven't even updated the stream yet to say what we're covering. So I actually have to go out and pull the polls. But I'm pretty sure that we're doing changelings. Yes, we're doing changelings tomorrow. And we're doing Wonderwaffen for the Week in Weird topic. So that should be fun. And then great white sharks for the man-eater that we're picking up on. Absolutely. If you want to participate, though, I do 2 polls minimum every week where we pick what we're going to cover on CrypticCorner and our Week in Weird. So if you want to participate in that, you got to go out to the community page on YouTube, and you got to actually vote on the polls. There'll be other polls throughout the weeks too. I just can't tell you what they're all going to be. Sometimes it's just random questions. Sometimes it is content related. Sometimes it's what I'm going to do with my freaking makeup. So participate and enjoy. Other than that, I'll see y'all in the morning. See you all in the AM. And thank you so much again for joining us, Ember.
Hell yeah. This is, despite Bob Larson pissing us off, this was a tremendous amount of fun.
Yes, I had so much fun. All right. Love y'all. Until next time, be kind and take care.